I love platform fighters. You love platform fighters. At least I hope you do, because today I want to talk about 3 new platform fighters that I think you should check out. Make sure to stick around until the ending because the last game is interesting. So today I'm going to be rating these 3 games on 5 categories. First one is price, second, depth, third, how beginner friendly or easy it is to learn, how many and how well made are the characters is the fourth one, and the last one is how deep and complex the combat is, or just the general game feel, as those are usually correlated. And the first game I want to talk about today is stick figures with the Z, because we all know that Z is the coolest letter in the alphabet. But what even is a stick figures, you might be asking? Stick Figures is a self-published indie game by Studio Bidoo with very fast-paced gameplay that actually takes a lot of inspiration from Melee and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 of all things, actually. The characters in Stick Figures are from classic stick figure animations, so you might actually recognize them, although I don't personally recognize any of them. Stick Figures is currently still in the beta phases of development, and from my knowledge, we don't have any sort of release date currently, but I wouldn't be surprised if it got released in early to mid 2025, depending on the scale the devs want to take it to. As you might have seen in the gameplay in the background, this game is kind of insane. It is very fast paced and can be very chaotic at times, but it's also insanely satisfying to play. The combo potential is just ridiculous. So if this looks like a game that you would enjoy, I highly recommend that you go check it out, which you can do by going to their Patreon and subscribing to their tester level. Personally, I'm not a fan at all of the Patreon model they're using currently, and I would much rather prefer a Kickstarter or something like that, so you didn't need to start a subscription, which feels kind of weird and predatory to me. Oh, and remember when I said this game was inspired by NASB 2? Yeah, I mean that. This game has a mechanic that is very familiar to anybody who played NASB 2, which I assume is not many of you, so let me explain it to you. Stick Figure's main mechanic, Impact. Impact is the meter below your percentage that fills up as you do and take damage. To use this meter, you need to hold down your impact button and then perform a special, aerial, or tilt attack. Doing so will change the attributes of aerials and tilts to make them always have the same knockback, so even at 0% or 150%, it will always send the same distance, making it very easy to combo out of. All your tilts and aerials now also become hit cancelable. Whenever you use impact on specials, they will often just completely change into a different move, or just make the move a lot stronger. For example, this is FFL or Alpha's normal side special. Kind of boring, pretty good, but it's kind of boring. But this is Alpha's impact side special. A lot stronger and a lot cooler, and most specials have a good reason to use impact on them for. To know when you have used an impact, this symbol pops up, which I'm not a fan of at all. There's no in-game explanation of impact, so when I started playing, it was just really weird to me that sometimes there would just be a random symbol with some Chinese text on the screen for no reason. So to understand it, I had to go and ask someone in the Discord, so I hope they add an explanation to the system within the game itself at some point, because it's very annoying. And also, you need to make sure that you binded the impact button. For some reason, it just wasn't bound for me when I started playing, which is really stupid because this is a crucial and core mechanic of this game. But I'm sure they can fix all this stuff pretty easily in the future, so I wouldn't really worry about it too much. The game's art style is also pretty cool. It's this very minimalistic, clean style that I actually really like. However, it does come at the cost of my biggest criticism of this game, that being the horrible visual clarity. The game can just be really hard to read, and I often find myself just straight up being confused by what happened on my screen, and it gets kind of frustrated to be distracted so often. I have heard that the devs plan to add more VFX to moves to make it more clear, which would be very nice, but even so, I feel like moves should just have a little bit more end lag on whiff so you can actually tell what's happening on the screen. But that's about all I wanted to say, so now let's get to ranking it. Price. The game costs $20. I still think that's a little bit high for the amount of content I personally experienced, but when the game releases, I think it's going to be fine. Although I still think $15 would be a more fair price, but it's totally fine, and I'm sure it's going to go on sale pretty often. So I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 stars. Depth. This game is not especially deep. Offense is completely insane in this game, which is very fun, but doesn't quite allow for actual deep combat. The effect of DI just feels too weak, and the shields aren't that great either relatively to how insane the offense is. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think this game should be about deep combat, and I find it really enjoyable already as just like a rushdown crack game. It does have the impact meter, which does add a star or so, but I'm only gonna give Stick Figures 2 out of 5 stars on depth. Beginner friendliness. This game is not especially easy to learn outside of the fact that every character is super busted. So even if you aren't that great at it, you can still do some absolutely insane stuff. With some in-game tutorials on the impact system and other stuff, I think the game could be fine for beginners, but right now I'm only gonna give it 2 out of 5 stars for beginner friendliness. Characters. This game's characters are insanely cool and all play very unique. Everyone feels broken and I really like that. If there's a couple more characters, I would give it 5 stars, but right now there's only 4 characters, which does feel pretty low, so I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 stars for characters. Game feel. Although I haven't given the best scores or anything for this game, this is where it all makes it back. Stick figures feels amazing to play. It is almost addicting to hit combos in this game. I'm giving Stick Figures 5 out of 5 stars for game feel. So all in all, Stick Figures gets a 15 out of 25 star rating, but it has a lot of room to easily improve the score. So although it may seem low, I do not think lowly of this game at all. The next game I want to talk about today is Rivals 2, the sequel to the hit indie game Rivals of Aether. And yeah, it's actually pronounced Rivals of Aether and not Aether. I'm not happy about it either, but it is true. If you somehow aren't aware of what Rivals of Aether is, it's the game that you probably saw a YouTuber play that had like Ronald McDonald and all sorts of other wacky characters in it. Not because these characters were just in the game by the devs, but instead because Rivals 1 had a Steam Workshop feature that let other players add their own characters to the game with no limits. If you still don't remember it, Rivals of Aether was developed by Aether Studios, a studio completely dedicated to the world of Aether that has made other spin-offs like a roguelike and a mobile game and some other cool stuff. But Rivals 1 was very successful if you think about its scale and how small the game was really, but now there's obviously a sequel on the way that is currently running beta weekends every single month. I have played in 3 of these beta weekends so far, and each time the game has gotten better and better, and in just a couple days I already have 25 hours on the game. But before I get carried away, let me explain to you what Rivals 2 is. You may be able to tell just by looking at it that it is very inspired by Melee, and it definitely is. Melee or PM players are going to feel right at home with this one. So in Rivals 2 you have all the normal Melee-like platform fighter mechanics, the whole ledge system including ledge hogging, all the specials and strong attacks and tilts and the normal stuff, and of course it also has wave dashing and wave landing and all the waves you could think of. It even has shield dropping, but this is where the game differentiates itself a lot from games like Melee, because in Rivals 2 all this stuff is really easy to learn, but not easy to become proficient with. It's still hard to master, but you won't be constantly SDing because you mistimed your wave dash to ledge by 1 frame. And for example, where in Melee you would need an extremely tight and hard to perform set of inputs, often only really consistent at all with the help of custom notches on your controller just to shield drop. And shield dropping is just a technique that lets you drop through a platform slightly faster. All you need to do that in Rivals 2 is hold diagonally down. And all the systems in this game are kind of like that, very easy to learn, but hard to master, and all that just means that everybody has a chance to feel like a badass without needing to put in hundreds of hours just to walk a little bit better. When I was playing Melee a lot, I was literally doing daily reps of wave dashes and L cancels just to keep it up. In Rivals 2, you still have all the actual gameplay skill of Melee, but it's much easier to learn and understand for new players. There's also new special features unique to the genre, that being get-up specials, ledge get-up specials, and special pummels. The special get-ups are pretty self-explanatory as they're just different attacks really, but for pummels and special pummels, Rivals 2 has a new system. First of all, there's no mashing in Rivals 2, so having a seizure in your hands while you're in a grab will not get you out of it any faster. But instead, if you press attack or special before your opponent pummels you, depending on which pummel they decide to do, you will then break out of it. So if you know that your opponent is gonna do a normal or special pummel, you can then press whichever button you think they're gonna do, and then if you're correct, you will then break out of the grab and get back into neutral. I should also mention that, in my opinion, Rivals 1 and Rivals 2 have some of the best designed characters I've ever seen in any platform fighter. Their whole kits, no matter who you pick, feels so satisfying and well made. I feel like the worst designed character in Rivals would be the best designed character in any other platform fighter. Their kits are just all very unique, and I can't express how all around fantastic Rivals 2 just feels to play. Now, I am coming from the perspective of someone who has played quite a bit of Melee, so I already understood the ropes when I started playing, but I wholeheartedly believe that even if you've never played a Melee type game, you could still easily learn to play Rivals 2 very fast. And although I don't have an especially high amount of hours in Rivals 2 from just the 25 hours or so that I have played, it's one of my personal favorite games ever made. And there's still so much potential in the game. I could really just keep on ranting on and on about how much I love Rivals 2, but I think you get the point. So now, let's get to the ratings. Price. To access the beta, you need to pledge 50 euros through Pledge Manager, which is pretty high, but for the full release of the game in late 2024, the game is only going to be 30 euro on Steam, which is a great price point for the sheer amount of stuff that you get, especially when you consider that there will never be a paid character or any sort of non-cosmetic paid DLC. So if you buy the game, you will never have to pay a single more dollar for a new character or anything like that unless you want cosmetics. For the amount of content you get, 30 euros is a great price. And even after the launch, there's lots of things they're gonna add, so I'm giving Rivals 2 4 out of 5 stars on price. Depth. Rivals 2 has some insane depth. I can see this game's scene and meta developing for many years, same way Rivals 1 and Melee have been developing. There's just a lot of stuff in the game that allows for so much expression and depth, so I'm giving Rivals 2 5 out of 5 stars on depth. Beginner friendliness. Compared to other games like Brawlhalla or Multiverses, Rivals 2 might be harder to learn, but if you compare it to something like Melee, it's completely different. How easy Rivals 2 will be for you to pick up depends on your experience in platform fighters, but at the end of the day, I believe that anybody can learn and become skilled at Rivals 2 with just a little bit of time. However, the sheer amount of stuff in the game does make it somewhat hard to learn, so I'm gonna give Rivals 2 3.5 out of 5 stars for how easy it is to understand and pick up. Characters. As I quickly went over before, the characters in Rivals 2 are simply amazing, like really great. There are currently 10 characters out, which is a pretty strong number of characters, and there's always more on the way, including actually a fan-made one called Lorena that's really cool and was actually originally a workshop character in Rivals 1 that's now being added to Rivals 2, which I think is really cool. But anyways, the quality of all the characters just make it hard for me to give Rivals 2 anything other than a 5 out of 5 stars on characters. Game feel. I don't even feel like I need to say it, but I will. Rivals 2 feels amazing to play, and if you have even a passing interest in a deep Melee-inspired platform fighter, you need to play Rivals 2. Even if you don't think you would like a Melee type game, I still could not recommend it more. Seriously, go play Rivals 2. 5 out of 5 stars for game feel. All in all, I give Rivals 2 a 22.5 out of 25 star rating. Now, on to the last game. The last game I'm going to be talking about today is Shonen Smash. And yeah, you're seeing that correct. This is a Roblox platform fighter with completely legal and non-copyrighted characters that the devs 100% own the rights to. After making my Roblox account, a freak Bobalicious985, I loaded in and watched a pretty sick little cutscene, and I chose my starter class where I picked Mage, as well as Goichi, and totally not that guy from Bleach. But yeah, after queuing into my first match ever, I very quickly realized that I do not like this game. It feels absolutely horrible to play, and it is very unresponsive and hard to read, and the hitboxes are some of the worst and most inconsistent ones I've ever seen in any game ever. I think I get the appeal, but man, this is a hard game to play, and not in the good way. The game just is impossible to read, and it's really hard to know what's happening, and the overall systems in the game just don't work that well, and the fact that it's on Roblox means that the netcode is complete garbage. People will often just teleport around, and it's not uncommon at all to just teleport into someone's move for no reason. If you were looking forward to me going in depth on this game, I'm sorry, because I cannot stand this game. Although I will say that I do like some of the visual elements, and I can see some potential in the game's foundations, but man, it is just really hard for me to actually enjoy it. I'm not saying that it's completely trash or anything, but personally I just don't see myself ever playing this game again. So let's get to rating it. Price. The game is free to play, which is obviously great, but I haven't played the game quite enough to be able to tell you how greedy the game is. But from my knowledge, there's no pay to win or anything like that, although it does seem to take quite a lot of time to unlock new characters, and it is a Roblox game, so I would be cautious, but I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 stars on price. Depth. This game feels horrible to control and extremely shallow, but I will also attribute a portion of this to my lack of playtime, so I'm gonna be generous and give it 2 out of 5 stars for depth. Beginner friendliness. It seems pretty easy to learn, but not in a good way. The skill ceiling just feels very low, and as stated before, super shallow. But I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 stars in how beginner friendly it is, because I think anybody could pick this up. Characters. All the characters feel super lame, and there also aren't even that many characters, and I'm just not a fan of any of their designs. 1 out of 5 stars for characters. Game feel. I don't think it's coming as a surprise. I strongly dislike the game feel of this game in every single aspect. It's floaty and laggy, yet combo centered, except all the combos feel horrible, and as I said before, you constantly teleport into people's hitboxes, and it just doesn't feel good to play. 1 out of 5 stars. So in total, Shonen Smash gets 11 out of 25 stars, the worst score so far. I still think you should give it a shot since it's free to check out, but this is not a game I see lasting very long. I'm sorry, but yeah. So these are the scores. Stick Figures got 14 out of 25, Rivals 2 got 22.5 out of 25, and Shonen Smash got 11 out of 25. And I put them in a tier list format just so you can understand. But yeah, that's all the games I wanted to talk about today. I hope you found at least one game that you wanted to check out, and if you did, they're all linked below for you to check out. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and let me know what you think about this type of video format. It's new to me and I hope you enjoyed it because I really liked making this video and I really put a lot of effort into it. So I hope you enjoyed it. And again, thanks for watching. Bye!